Hi everyone. Today we're going to do a short tutorial using some specialty tulle and part of our safari collection. We're using royal blue specialty tulle. Now this one is available in the leopard and the zebra print. But I have to tell you, it is pricey, but it is so worth it. I love the color. And there's very few places that you can find this specific color available. So do your research and expect to spend double the amount that you normally would per roll on this. But it's flame retardant, which is really cool. If you're creating a tutu with all this, then the whole tutu will be flame retardant except for the base, obviously. But it's a nice selling point, and it's also nice if you're going to an event like, say, Burning Man, and you want to be careful, or you're going to a camping thing or anything to do with fire. It's just nice to know that, hey, my specialty tulle is flame retardant. Alright, so this tutorial is going to be pretty quick. I've already cut my tulle. Don't forget that if you're doing the slip knot method, you're going to want to double the length of your tutu tulle strips. Because once you fold it over to make that slip knot, it's going to be half the size. So if you want a 10-inch tutu skirt, you're going to want to cut 20 inches of tulle. Now, I love the angled cut. It's great for beginners as well. It takes a little bit more time than just leaving it as is. But if you're not 100% precise when you are creating your cuts, then it works great, because if your length is a little bit off, you really can't tell with the pixie style cut or the angle styled cut. Alright, so let's get started. A lot of people start at the seam. I start from whenever. Eventually the seam's going to be taken care of. I do want to show you that we're going to do something a little different when we get to the seam part, but not quite yet. Alright, take your premium tulle. Again, a way to be cost effective is using your specialty tulle sporadically, and base it on the look you're going for and the budget you're in, as well as the overall effect that you're going for. I say that the look that you're going for and that those are the same, but in actuality it's not, because if you start with it and you look at it and you're like, this is how I want it, and then you realize there's not enough specialty tulle, it just looks like a blue with a few stripes in it, then you realize, okay, I need to change my whole overall theme for this. Alright, take your tulle piece, bring the ends together as closely as possible after you've folded it over. Squish that top part right here as much as you can. You're doing this so that you can put it through the crocheted hole easily. Okay? Now, take your tulle strip that you folded over, put it through the crocheted hole, bring it out some. Now take your fingers and use it as a guide, open it up, take your tails, bring them through, and gently tug down. Remember, every time that you add a piece of tulle and you're tugging down, you're in essence stretching the crocheted hole and the overall crocheted band itself, so you don't have to put so much pressure in making these real tight knots. They're going to stay secure for you, and you are avoiding that stretched out effect that can happen to you when you keep tugging and tugging and making these real tight all the way around. Again, take your premium tulle, fold it in half, bring the tails as closely together as possible. Now remember, that step you can avoid if you are doing a staggered effect. Then you would just basically take your tails, make one longer than the other, and boom, you got your staggered effect. Okay? Bring it together. Take the folded part, squish it to make it easier on you when you're putting it through your crocheted holes. Put it through the crocheted hole. Pull it out, widen it with your fingers, Bring the tails through and gently tug down. Alright, key thing to always remember. This top line, let me make sure you can see that. This top thin thread right here. This thread can break on you. And think of this as your anchor. At the top and at the very bottom, this thin thread. Avoid using those, okay? Because if this breaks, it can mess up your entire crocheted band, and that would really suck if you have already completed 90% of your tutu and had to start over. Because I have yet to repair it without it still looking a little off. Alright, so we're going to place our primary tool that we're using. I'm going to place a layer all the way around, and then I'm going to place the regular premium tool on the second layer, and I'm going to sporadically put some of our specialty tool, and then I'm going to do that for 2 layers, and then the last layer is going to be the majority of my specialty tool. And when this is all said and done, I'll tell you how many rolls I had to use. You can buy this in bolt form. To be honest, these are about $8 for a 10-yard roll, 6 by 10. But you can buy it in the bolt form. It's quite a bit, but depends on how many of these you're making. So do the math and you'll figure out which way works best for you. Because you may really only need 1 roll or 2 rolls, and you don't want to spend $80 on a bolt when you know you're not going to use it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this bottom layer up. We may or may not add some glitter tool. That'll depend on what this looks like when we get to, say, the 3rd layer. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this bottom layer up. Show you this one more time. Take your tool piece, fold it in half. Bring the tails together unless you're doing the staggered effect as closely as possible. Take that folded area, make it as small as you can so that it's easy to work with. Put it through your crocheted hole, bring it out, pull it through, use your fingers as a guide, bring the tails through, and gently tug down. I'll be right back. After realizing, hello, I'm using a 1 3/4 inch crocheted wide band, I thought I better go ahead and adjust where I'm putting my specialty tool because I'm going to be having less layers. So I did my first layer all around in the premium tool, and then I'm going to add just a few pieces of the specialty tool on the next layer, but I'm still using the primary color blue or royal blue, depending where you purchase it from, as the main color for the whole thing on this second layer. We've just got a few of the specialty pieces. Now I'm not sure if you can see this very well on video, but the texture of the safari style tool is a bit different. It's a little rougher than our premium tool that's plain. I make note of that because if you're making this for somebody that's got sensitive skin, it's great that you're using that premium quality tool that's softer as the first layer because that's what's going to touch the skin the most if they're not wearing anything underneath. So keep that in your hat, and as you see here, I'm sporadically placing it, and then we're going to move on to the next layer. On our next layer, which is the 3rd layer, we're going to do the same thing we did on the second one, but I'm going to try to pay special attention to where I placed my specialty tool on the layer before. And that way it really spreads out the entire effect. Let me show you what I mean. So basically I see that I've got the blue premium tool here. So instead I'm going to put that over my specialty tool, and I'm going to use the specialty tool where the blue is. That way it's kind of covered throughout. That way I didn't have to use specialty tool for every crocheted hole I used. Instead, I just pay attention to my placement and work with it from there to make it cost effective but lovely as well. And instead of using one piece, I'm going to do 2 pieces. Now that's optional, but I think that the overall effect, since this is not a wide crochet top, but a smaller crochet band, this is only going to have one more layer. So I'm going to add a little bit more to the 3rd layer of specialty tulle than I normally would have to when creating this on a crochet top or a wide crochet band. Alright, so you see that? You can't tell that below it is what? Regular premium tulle. Alright, we're going to put the last layer on. I'm going to speed through this for you so you don't have to watch me do the same thing over and over again for a long period of time. And then we're going to decide what we're going to make to accent this, whether it's going to be a top or a onesie. Depending on what age you're making this for, obviously, is what you're going to go by. But we'll take a look at that and I'll put it all together for you and then you can see the end result. Alright, so far I've utilized 10 yards of the specialty tulle, and it looks like I'm going to need another half roll, and I've cut these into 3-inch strips, so it's like getting 20 yards if you want to put it together like that, because you're going to cut it in half. This top layer is going to have quite a bit of the specialty tulle, and then we're going to use the premium blue tulle just to accent the top as well. I'm going to finish this up and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, we're going to take this 3-inch wide royal blue ribbon, and you can do a couple of different things with this. I am going to leave it up to the recipient, so I'm not going to add any hot glue or anything like that. But you can actually still run it through your crocheted band all the way around and tie a real pretty bow, or you can leave it as is, and then once it's on your loved one or yourself, take it, and as I always say, I am not the best at making bows, so y'all's is going to look a lot better than mine. And just, and then just make a real pretty bow in the back. And like I said, for some reason, I am not gifted with bow making. I think it's because I do everything backwards. Okay, so you get the gist of it. You're going to make a bow, and you're just going to work, whereas mine is going to throw a fit because I'm on video. I'll show you a picture after I've played with it a whole bunch of times. You can see what it would look like better. Okay, so you get the idea. There's your bow. Yours will look a lot better than mine, or when I'm not videoing, I do a lot better too. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's just nerves. But then you've got this real pretty look in the front. So you can totally change the way that it looks. You can also run one of those rhinestone ribbon sliders and have it bunch up for you. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do, but this is what it looks like with a 3-inch wide ribbon. And this is satin, and I believe I got this one at Paper Mart. Really high quality over there. Little pricey, but I have never had complaints as far as the quality goes. And they stand behind their products. So that's something for you guys to make note of, because sometimes it may cost a little bit less somewhere else, but customer service is so worth that extra 10 cents per yard or whatever that you might be paying. You can also use a skinnier ribbon and do the drawstring method, where you put it in and out of the crocheted hole, tying a bow on the inside or the outside depending on if you want it to show or not. And this will adjust the size of your crocheted band tutu skirt. So keep that in mind. It'll allow you to wear this for a lot longer. especially with little ones, and you know how fast they grow. So it gives you a little bit more time with it. I'm going to show you how we do, make sure that I have the right length, the ribbon at the ends. Always make sure that you heat seal. But first we're going to do this kind of cut. Fold it in half. And if you want it to be an angled cut, like a diamond shape, you'll cut this way. If you want it to have that Rosetta style, I think is what they call it, then you'll cut the opposite direction. And that's what I want. And there you go. Isn't that cool? Okay, take your heating implement, whether it be a lighter or a fancy burner tool, or these little things you get at the dollar store that don't have the child safety lock for starting fires, and just run it quick, okay? Because if you don't, you will melt it. I've been there, done that lots and lots and lots of times. It just gives it a really cool effect, I think, when it's all said and done, when you've got the bow made and the tails are coming down the back. I just think it looks really good. But that's all you have to do to heat seal it. We thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. We are very appreciative that your support has gone so far as to reach so many in such a short time. From my family to yours, we thank you again, and know that your continued support is helping me take care of mine. From my family to yours, have a fantastic, blessed day. Remember, anything you create is going to be fantastic. Why? Because you took the time to create it.
You were there for me, I can't even lie. You picked me up about 1,000 times. My mama's glad I got you in my life. She know that you the type that rides or die. I don't even care about the one you with, 'cause we go through the thick and thin. You got my back since we were kids. When you need my help, I'll be here. If you ever hurt, if you ever